do decide to buy him out, is a whole lot of money they will have to pay him. But if you are Brad Beal, just the Brad Beal side, it's not the other teams in the league, where would you want to go play?
You know, I would want to find a place where I'm not going to be sort of like the stepchild that he feels like that he was with the Suns. Someplace where I'm going to have a carved out role, where I'm going to be appreciated. And I think pretty much anywhere he goes, it's going to be a better situation for him because he's not going to be being paid the money and the expectation that comes along with that where he was in Phoenix. So I think that it's good times to be Damian Lillard and Bradley Beal. These could be vacationing down in the Bahamas and still getting paid tens of millions of dollars. They get to pick their next destination. You know, this will be up to Bradley Beal, you know, how much he wants to stack salary on top of salary. So he's going to be getting a bunch of money from Phoenix, the same way Damian Lillard is from Milwaukee. Will he take a veteran minimum from another team? Will he be looking for mid-level money? You know, how important is it to him to find the right fit and the right team? I don't think, I mean, I wouldn't if I were him. I don't know Bradley Beal. I don't think he's going to be looking to just stack as much money as he can on top of what Phoenix is going to have to pay him if indeed this buyout goes through. I would think he'd be looking for fit, and there's a lot of teams at the price that you're going to get Bradley Beal. You know, we just talked about it with Miami and Norman Powell. Price is everything. And if you can add Bradley Beal, he's still a very good player. He's just not good enough for the money he was making in Phoenix and Washington. So at the price you're going to get him at, there's going to be a lot of suitors, and Bradley Beal's going to have no shortage of options.
Brad, you've got me like on the edge of my seat because I was hoping you were going to say a team. I was hoping you were going to say the Magic would be the perfect fit for him. I'll just ask you, who is the perfect fit for Brad Beal?
The Magic are a great fit. Now, they just got Desmond Bane, and they sort of fill the same role. The Magic, I think, are looking for a more classic playmaker. But again, if you're going to get Brad Beal, it's somewhere between a minimum and a mid-level. Yeah, I mean, the Magic still need offense. Bane doesn't solve everything. You know, San Antonio, they've got Fox and Wembanyama. To me, they make a ton of sense if I'm Bradley Beal. They've got Dylan Harper coming in, but really no established third guy. Vassell, Beal would be right there with him. So you're ready to win right now. You have a carved-out role. I could be looking at a team like Dallas. Listen, the one I think to watch is probably the Bucks. Now, wouldn't this be funny if they're the team that stretches Damian Lillard, okay, and then they get the benefit? They're the team that is behind the 8 ball now for the next 5 years, paying Damian Lillard $22.5 million for nothing, and they have all that dead cap money, but then they sort of like counteract that by getting Beal at the cut rate. Maybe they tell themselves, well, it's kind of a wash. We had to waive and stretch one guy, but then we get the waive and stretch guy from another team, and we get him at a bare minimum of cost. All of a sudden, if you're running out in the Eastern Conference, Bradley Beal, Miles Turner, and Giannis, they brought back all of their support guys. They brought back Gary Trent, Taurean Prince. Yeah, they can convince themselves that they can play. So I didn't like the Miles Turner move. I thought it was beyond desperate, bordering on delusional. But now that they've jumped all the way into the ocean, you know, why not keep going? You've given up all your assets in the Holiday trade, the Lillard trade. You have no first-round picks, I believe, through 2031. You got $22.5 million of dead cap money on your books for the next 5 years for a player who's not even going to be there. And now you're paying Miles Turner, if you talk about the Lillard money plus what Turner is making, which is how you have to look at it, you're looking at $50 million a year for the next 4 years for Miles Turner. It's not going to do anything for you. You just dug your hole so deep you can't come out of it. But if you can add a Beal, now it's like, it almost becomes like a Dallas situation. Like, what? You got rid of Luka Doncic? Oh, my God, you just got Cooper Flagg. I mean, it was so ridiculous what they did with Damian Lillard, but if they score Bradley Beal on the back end, it, to some degree, salvages it. And so I'm really watching Milwaukee, but Bradley Beal is still a good player. He was being seen through the lens of a guy who was making too much money, but in the right situation, he can be a steal for a number of teams.
Yeah, we would appreciate you in Orlando.
Check out what he had to say by calling out the National Basketball Players Association, which he is a charter member of. He says this is the reason why he hates the new CBA, and it's all about making sure the NBA does not have what he's used to involving his Golden State Warriors of the past.
Listen, this is all about the second April. People said they didn't want super teams anymore. Well, here you have it. All these moves are being made to dodge that second April. It's a hard cap. You lose draft picks. You lose the mid-level exception. You lose roster spots. You lose the ability to get better and compete as a team. And the amount of money that you lose is insane. And when I said this, before the deal was signed, this is ridiculous, and it's going to hurt players in the end. No one wanted to listen. Everybody wanted to act like the PA was making a great deal. The PA made a deal, as the PA has done for years now. And every year, the pot gets bigger, and the business gets better, and the players get screwed more. That's just how this business works.
That's really smart by Draymond Green, what he's saying, though. I mean, really smart, Freddie C., by acknowledging that the NBA has put in place a hard cap. So even though we have the terminology calling it the first apron or separate second apron, that's not how it's playing out when it comes to how teams operate and how teams are pragmatic when it comes to making sure they avoid the luxury tax. So even though you do have the ability to go into the second apron and you do pay the tax, these owners and front offices are choosing not to. So essentially it operates as a hard cap, even though it's not technically by the letter of the law. So I think it's really smart by Draymond Green on calling this out, because this ultimately does come down to owners' comfort level with having a lower profitability with their organizations, with their franchises. And here's the thing, billionaires don't want to be told that they're not going to make as much money. Billionaires want to make sure that they're always besting the players when it comes to who benefits the most from the collective bargaining agreement and who benefits the most from all of the revenue that the league is producing. And Draymond Green is just saying the quiet part out loud when it comes to the dynamic in professional sports, but specifically with the NBA.
Yeah. Here's another quiet part that he should say out loud that he probably has. The owners want their league back. This is why the NBA has become more like the NFL, and the NFL's become more like the NBA. The NFL's paying these kind of salaries, especially the quarterbacks. They're rewarding their superstar players and their money players. And the ones that are going to get it, if they don't play for the Dallas Cowboys, are going to get that. That's how the NFL's become more like the NBA. Well, the NBA CC's become more like the NFL. The owners are like, look, we're tired of this being a players' league. We want our league back. We're going to get our league back, and that's why the first apron's there, and the second apron's there, and everything else. And I hate to say this to Draymond Green, but the organization you belong to, they agreed to this. They agreed to this collective bargaining agreement that is in place to make sure that parity is going to happen and that super teams are not going to happen. The NBA does not want to go back to the days when Kevin Durant became a free agent and joined it with Draymond Green, Steph Curry, and Klay Thompson, even though that was clearly good for the league. They don't want a holy trinity like we saw in Miami with LeBron James, Chris Bosh, and Dwayne Wade. In essence, the billionaires are telling the millionaires, we want our league back. We're going to get our league back. So we may not have that hard cap, but like you said, CC, they essentially do because of the first and second apron. It is designed to make sure that people can believe, like in the NFL, that you do have a chance to win a championship, and a super team is not going to run rampant like we've seen. That wasn't bad business for the NBA, but they don't want that kind of business ever again because the owners are determined to keep their league for them and not for the players.
Yeah, but Freddie, I'll respond to that by asking you this question.
All right.
Are the Oklahoma City Thunder a super team?
No.
They're not a super team. Why not?
Because they only won one championship, number one. And number two, guys did not come together from other teams as free agents, superstar free agents, and join up together to stack their team. They do it that way for the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Freddie, see, the MVP of the league, SGA, was traded there.
I understand it, but he's not a superstar player that forced his way out of with the Los Angeles Clippers. The reason he's there is because Paul George was wanted by Kawhi Leonard. If Kawhi Leonard did not want Paul George to join with the Los Angeles Clippers, then the Clippers don't have to make that trade. They can keep SGA, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and who knows what that would look like involving both of those teams. To me, that's the difference in terms of a super team where